right.
Oh,
Does that sound good?
hi, thank you. And welcome to the Greg Simoneau Show, episode 50. And before we begin episode 50, I would like to give some thank yous to my family and friends who watch the show and support the show, and to the local scene staff here, past and present, who have helped me reach 50 episodes. Thank you. Yeah, come on. Thank you. Before we begin, we just want to peel back the curtain a little bit on the Greg Simoneau Show. Just peel it back a little bit and see where the pieces that make up the show, how those pieces fit. I'm Greg Simoneau. I play Greg in the Greg Simoneau Show. I don't know if that's clear, but maybe it isn't. Or maybe it's funnier that I don't say that. But yep, this is me. This is Greg the Simoneau, the actor and the writer of the show. And I play Greg in the Greg Simoneau Show, and he is what I would like to think like a comedian would be. But he's also not like me. I'm not him. He's sort of a diva sometimes. I know some of the episodes you might see him yelling at the staff, like Dustin or something. And that's just a persona that I'm playing there. And if you said to me, you know, my favorite comedian is Greg Simoneau, I'd be like, well, that's weird, because he is like, it's either you're talking about me in the early 2000s when I did a few times I did comedy in Cambridge. So that was weird. I don't think I have any fans from then. Or you're talking about the guy I play on a public access show. That would be your favorite comedian. So that's kind of weird. And another thing I just wanted to say, peeling back the curtain, is Greg Simoneau. He exists in the Greg Simoneau Show universe. And I don't know if that's clear, but maybe it's funny, maybe it's not, as, you know, the venues he plays don't really exist in our universe. They only exist in the Greg Simoneau Show universe. Like a empty Toys R Us. You know, now that's been taken over by Sullivan car dealership, right? But he can play that in his universe. And in his universe, his agent has booked him around Plymouth, you know, an alternate Plymouth, where he'll play these venues, these strange venues that don't really exist, like the Mark Lord Theater that doesn't really exist, right? But he'll play that to try to maybe get his career going again. And he has this group of fans. They're super fans, and they'll follow him to any venue. And you'll notice sometimes he'll make mention of it. There's my guy, you know. And it's maybe it's a kind of a sparse crowd, but he likes it, and that's what he's trying to do there. Also, any albums he makes reference to, they only exist in the Greg Simoneau Show universe. Like, you couldn't pick up these albums or buy them anywhere. They're not going to be produced or anything like that. Another thing, peeling back the curtain, are movies he's in. So when he's not doing stand-up, he's in these movies, and it seems to me that in the Greg Simoneau Show universe, he's made friends with the Chris Cooper of the Greg Simoneau Show universe. He's made friends with Florence Pugh, and they let him be in their movies, or something. It's unclear of how he's getting into all these movies every time. Also, I think the time frame is weird, that you might see a new Greg Simoneau show every 2 weeks with that material. But this would take him a year to put on a special like this. So you're seeing each episode is maybe like a year of his life. Okay. Also, there's mention of a few people in the show, and they've been on the show too, is Justin. And in real life, Justin's not a comedian. But in the Greg Simoneau Show universe, he's a comedian who's maybe a little more successful than Greg. And sometimes he'll have to cancel a gig, and Greg will have to step in for him. So I think that's funny. Also, you'll notice sometimes Greg will do like a skit show, and he'll bring along his nephew Henry and his niece, and they'll also be trying to getting work. But that it's not really existing. So maybe it's funny not to say that, but tonight we're peeling back the curtain for episode 50. I think after 50 episodes, we sort of owe that to the viewer. Also, the show is not me trying to become a comedian. You know, there's not a big stake in the show. You know what I mean? Me and Dan don't have a big stake in the show. This is something we do for fun. It's a passion project, and I'm doing fine. Don't worry about me. This isn't my shot. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's it about. That's the only thing I wanted to make mention of it. We're going to start episode 50. Thank you all, and enjoy episode 50. Thanks. Coming to you live from inside that structure at the new Stevens Field, here's your bathroom attendant, Greg Simoneau.
Them man never been ready for the chaos. I stay ready, never take day off. Train for the action, it's payoff. Deliver that straight, no mailbox. First class talk out, top tier walk out. Back in my chat. These dark roads, I navigate that. Seminar pass, graduate facts.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the local scene for having me. Thanks to all my fans coming out tonight to the. This is the new Stevens Field cute little structure. I love being here. Ooh. The parking was hard though, right? Am I right? Oh. So the other day I saw a sign that said missing and exploited children, and it made me think, remember those basketball sneakers Voit? Because exploited is the word, exploited, Voit. Anybody?
No.
Yeah, it's the Voit that got me. I remember growing up, when you think about exploited, I think of Macaulay Culkin, He was exploited. He wasn't missing because he was on every movie poster and video game for Home Alone back then. But he was exploited. We knew where he was. He was in Hollywood. And I remember he was being exploited by his parents so much that they wouldn't give him any money, He had to mooch quarters. And that was the term they used, mooch quarters. And I thought to myself, geez, nobody should have to kiss somebody for 25 cents. I remember my brother was missing for a weekend, and my mom was like, have you seen Justin? And we just had to tell her, yeah, Mom, he flew to Seattle to see Pearl Jam. She had no idea. And yeah, you're 18, but you're still living with your parents. Tell someone, right? And kind of a sad story, too, because he ended up coming back. Yeah, Pearl Jam, he ended up seeing Pearl Jam and everything, but we were just hoping he would stay out there with them, We were hoping he would join the Pearl Jam. He didn't have any talent, like he can't sing or play an instrument, but he could have joined Pearl Jam. He could have carried their instruments or something. When the tour ended, they released all the live versions, and he bought them. I think he was hoping to think he could hear himself on the CDs. And we grew up watching sports, so he was hoping he could hear himself on the CD going, here we go, Pearl Jam, here we go. Ch-ch. Here we go, Pearl Jam, here we go. Ch-ch. That's probably all he did. Little delay there. Yeah, I got it. I gotcha. He'll get you on the ride home tonight. I remember when he got home, my mom had questions. My mom was like, oh, I'm glad you're home. I'm glad you're safe. But did you Pearl Jam anyone when you were out there? Did you do the Pearl Jam? Oh, I'm not going to have any grandchildren who are going to grow up to be grunge, am I? And my mom worked at a bank, and she was like, you know what they're going to say down at the bank? My grandkids grew up to be grunge. I knew we didn't altar boy you hard enough. Yeah, he had it easy. All right, get cleaned up. Wash the Pearl Jam off you. So when the collection came out, it was like 20 CDs for $500. So then Justin, he copied them and wanted me to sell them on eBay to make his money back. And I was like, the whole reason Pearl Jam came out with these CDs was anti-pirating. And now you're going to pirate the Pearl Jam CDs? You're not a very gracious Pearl Jammer. You're a selfish Pearl Jammer.
No.
Fast forward to now, he works in the Office of Deeds. House deeds, land deeds. It's the most un-Pearl Jammy thing you can be doing. every time me and my mom go in there and visit him, he's like, "You can't be in here. It's the House of Deeds. You can't be in here. I wore a Boba Fett mask during the pandemic. You can't be in here. Get out of here." That's how awful he is to us, yeah. And sometimes a Pearl Jam cover band will come around town. And in our town, they might play like the House of Blues or something, and I'll be like, "You want to go?" But you know where they never play? They never play the House of Deeds. I don't remember there being a Pearl Jam song that said, "I hope you have a beautiful life working at the bursar's office." I don't remember that one, Yeah. How are we all doing at the structure here? Stevens Field. They cleaned it up nice, right? They cleaned it up nice. Smells like bananas, but it cleaned up nice. I don't know what that smell is. It smells like bananas.
No.
I think it's because the kids play on that playground. They leave their bananas around. I don't know. But growing up, me and my brother, we used to collect everything: cards, comics, action figures. But now he's sort of a minimalist, He throws everything out. And now he's always asking me, "Did you get any good action figures lately?" And I just have to counter with, "Did you get any good deeds lately?" That's our conversation. And then sometimes I throw this one at him. "Did you refuse anything good from Mom lately?" He won't take it. He won't take stuff. And then I tell him, "Oh, yeah, she tried to give me that, too." He's my youngest brother, and even at this age, he's still getting me my hand-me-downs. I remember one time he told me, "Yeah, we got rid of all my nephew's Star Wars toys. Too bad, yeah." And I was like, "Ooh, that hurts, For me, someone who collects Star Wars toys." And he was like, "Yeah, we could have made a pretty penny off those." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, right. That's what people do. They sell them. Yeah, right. Money. Yes. My wife keeps telling me that. People sell them too." And I say, "Hey, you got any good deeds lately?" Yeah. I get it. He doesn't like clutter, He doesn't like a lot of clutter. Ooh, hoarders, hoarders. But I'm more like the uncle with all the antiques, I'm like, I got to have everything spread out so I can see what I have, I got to take a good look at it. Those are my theories. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can have your collectibles, spread them out. You got floor space, collectibles. You got desk space, Funkos. Everything, everywhere. All of it. It's not hoarding. I'm telling you, there's not much room here on this little structure at Stevens Field. That's for sure. You guys are crammed in back there.
No.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Oh, the women's room's over there. Yeah, it's around the corner. She didn't know there was a comedy show going on in here. So the other day I was at my nephew's basketball game. The other day it's enjoyable. I'm there to support him. So he's like my favorite player on the court. But that doesn't mean I don't have more favorites, like a second favorite or a third favorite. Yeah. And the other favorites aren't even necessarily good at basketball. There was this one girl on the other team. She was scoring a lot of points and stuff, and that was good. And that wasn't why she was one of my favorites. It was because she was pushing the other boys out of her way to succeed, She was learning a valuable lesson at an early age. To get what you want, you have to push the boys to one side and clear a path for yourself. A path to succeed. Very important lesson. A couple times, she would push off one of the boys and score with the other hand. And I was like, that's a good lesson for her too, Use that boy until you get what you want, get what you need, and then to get where you want to go, and then just get rid of him, Very valuable lesson learned there. She was doing so good. One of the coaches, the opposing coaches, complained. All these dude coaches, is complaining to the ref, "She pushed off. She pushed off." And I was wondering, was he complaining that she pushed off, or was he complaining that she pushed off? Yes. The other refs were like, yeah, whatever. The refs knew, like, in the upcoming years, these boys are going to make this girl's life a living hell, and I think she's allowed to score at will on them at this age. She's also learning another lesson I didn't even think about. Grumpy old white guys are going to try to hold you down, keep you down, and minimize your success. But hopefully you have the refs or the legal system on your side to get you what's right. It's just an observation. You doing all right, sir? A couple more drinks over here at this table. Oh, they're not serving drinks in here? Oh, there's a vending machine outside if you want. You know, they should have really put a water bubbler in, you know? For all the money they spent down here, a water bubbler would have been nice. I guess. Can you drink the water off the splash pad? I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know. Then there was this other kid, you know. He was trying, you know. He was out there having a good time, but his shots, you know, they weren't close, you know. And you could just tell from him, he wasn't very athletic. His face just gave you that impression like he was going to grow up to be an accountant or a lawyer or something, you know. His head looked like Monica and Ross from Friends, you know, their dad's head. He had that face, but on a 5th grade body, you know, a little younger, but that sort of face, you know. 10, 15 years from now, he's not going to get a text like, you know, do you want to play a game? It will say, do you want to go to a game? That's the kind of text he'll be getting. He's not going to make a professional team. He's going to be part of an owners group that owns a professional team. That's the path for him. That's what he's going to do. And these kids on his team, they're not going to forget him in 10 years. You know, they'll need him. You know, be there for the closing of their new house. Or they'll need him to draft up prenups for their marriages. You know, that's what they'll need. They'll need him for. So what I'm saying is, you know, in 10, 15 years, he won't be making bank shots. He'll be making bank and drinking shots, right? That's too easy. There. Yeah. And it's supposed to be I'm supposed to be there enjoying my nephew's game, you know, but if I get some new material out of it, good for me, you know. If I can come up with possible futures for these student athletes, then good for me. Because, yeah. It's not like he went to my games when I was little. It's because, you know, also, I can't be sitting there because FanDuel hasn't found out about this yet. You know, FanDuel. I mean, honestly, that's what I wanted to be doing, you know. FanDuel doesn't have a youth sports section, you know. Imagine if they did, you know. Also, what a great way to earn money for your school's teams. Yeah, FanDuel. FanDuel. Do you like it when parents fight in the stands? Imagine if FanDuel was on the line. The fights would increase, right? I just placed a bet on your kids under 5 points. One parent is in the crowd. I hit the over, my treat. Take the whole team to friendlies. Kids win, friendlies wins. Right? I think friendlies would be on board with that. We still have a friendlies? Yeah. The one by the Grove, it's still open. I don't recommend it. Oh no, I do recommend it. You know what? It's nice. It's a good place. Friendlies could use the money. You know, also, if they had FanDuel, I think the coaches would coach different, you know? Pep talks might be a little different. All right, everybody, let's gather on there. Everybody needs to get at least one shot. Ricky needs 10 points, and we have to keep the turnovers to under 5. Okay, kids? Go get them. You do that, and we all go out for ice cream. because the coach is making a parlay. Get it? The kids after the game, they're all happy, and the parents are like, "Why are you guys happy? You guys lost by 50." And they're like, "Yeah, but coach hit his parlay." Get the kids started early on betting, you know? Yeah. But where was I? I don't remember. Let's see. You know, the dollar store has some good 3-subject notebooks. Little plug for the dollar store. Don't worry who my sponsors are. Don't you worry. So yeah, okay. You guys lost by 50. Yeah, but coach it is parlay. Yep. And this was making me think. You know, remember the dog track? You know, yeah, like they closed all of those down. But then at youth sports, like at some of the kids' basketball games, you start seeing those old guys, those old betters who used to be at the dog track, but they're all now at kids' games. It would be fun for the kids, you know, have a little character in the stands. Instead of sitting in the stands with the race book, they're sitting there with the school newspaper, right? Trying to get an edge. All right, let's see. What do they have for lunch today? All right, chicken fillet. Okay. The kids will be happy, but they'll be sluggish. I'm taking the under. Yeah, then at some point you hear about it on the news. This just in, a local school has been throwing games. FanDuel has been investigating a local team, that's right, the green team, has been throwing games to try to earn money for a field trip. Yeah, everybody knew something was up. Green team just kept passing it to the other team and then not playing defense. It was the most lopsided game I'd ever seen. One game was 100-0. And as a parent of a child not on the green team, it just disgusts me. That shows sportsmen unsportsmanlike conduct. It just really disgusts me, you know. That and the fact that my kid ain't gonna get to go on that field trip. Something like that. You might see that on the local news. Oh. And then he's like, well, what are they? A bunch of nerds? You know, so we had to cut that part out. And then this is another part of the news segment, you know, maybe a couple days later. We're here where the green team is boarding the bus for the field trip. They're expected to be greeted by a bunch of boos. Boo. Boo. Sir, why are you booing? I'm booing. I'll tell you why I'm booing. I'm booing because they use sports. They monetized sports to get what they wanted. It's not right. It's not right at all. I'd also like to say this. Field trips are for cheaters, right? Historically, anyone who's ever been on a field trip is also a cheater. They cheated their way to get there, historically speaking. You know, if you think about it, the Pilgrims were on a field trip to the New World, and they were trying to get out of paying taxes. Cheaters. That's a Plymouth joke. That's a Plymouth joke for you guys. Pilgrims were cheaters. Mayflower 2 is now a escape room. Have you ever seen that?
No.
So here's another little story. Maybe I can get this in. I don't know. I went to a summer camp, and it was a summer camp for altar boys. You know, it was called Camp Cathedral. You couldn't get any more Catholic than that. And one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was I went in the changer room, and it was an outdoor changer room, no roof, you know, open air change room. And I went in there one time, and a kid was bawling his eyes out, crying, gut-wrenching cries. And I didn't get it at the time, but I get it now. I get it. And as altar boys, we really didn't help each other out. You know, that's how the priests won. We didn't stick together as a unit, you know? So yeah, I asked what happened, and he ran out of there or something. I forget. I think he might have gotten like a super wedgie or something. I don't know. I think maybe someone stole his clothes or something, or they threw his underwear up in the rafters, But I don't know if it was still in construction. I don't know if it was that or if it was so that God could see you. I don't know why it was open air change room. Also, there was no girls at this camp, They were in another camp across the lake. If you wanted to meet girls, you had to swim over there at night. It's like, night swimming? I'm out. And the whole thing seemed a little rapey to me, so I was out. I heard one kid got a blowjob or something, like he got head, like from what? Like a bog creature? Like those Catholic girls are prudes, But I believed him, because if he swam over there at night, good for him. This dude's a Navy SEAL, I remember our camp counselors, they were older than us, but they seemed even older, They seemed like the ones they make summer camp movies out of. And that's what they seemed like. Looking back, I think they would leave us with a ball or something and just go smoke a joint in the woods. Looking back, I think that's what they were doing. I remember my camp counselor. I liked him. He looked exactly like Howard Stern. Pretty cool, I remember one time he was on the bench right by third base, and I was playing third base, and he was like, "Oh, you brought your own glove today to this? Oh, that's pretty cool. All right. I'll make you a deal. If you dive for the next ball that comes your way, I'll give you the Sportsman Award the award day at camp." And this is the kind of torture I'm looking for, This is the type of sadistic bastard I am. Back then, these awards were the camp counselor's only bargaining chip. And it was the only way that they could get you to do something they promised the award, And they couldn't give you drugs, because even back then they knew that was bad. So the next ball that came my way down third base side, I dove for it. Got up, threw the guy out, and the camp counselor was like, "Yes, that was awesome. That was fun to watch. Okay, we had a deal. You're going to get the award, all right?" And I remember throwing in a little bonus dive, too, along the way. And at the end of summer camp, I got the Sportsman Award for that little jaunt there in softball. And I think we're running out of time, so thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming to see me here at Stevens Field. And you can catch me in the upcoming movie Pearl Jammy 2000 with Chris Cooper and Florence Pugh. Thanks. Good night.
We about to cause a scene. There's nothing like you've seen. Everything ain't